This is an orthokeratology case where the patient is getting pretty close to full correction, but complaining of glare at nighttime. If we look at the posterior topographies, we can see the central zone is pretty small. In fact, we can see the pupil is even larger than the back edge of the reverse curve. So I don't think there's anything that we can do to eliminate glare for this patient, but perhaps some lens modifications as well as time can give us a slightly larger zone and perhaps make the treatment more tolerable. This zone looks small. This is a pretty high prescription. It's close to, I think it's 5.5 in the right and 6 in the left. And that said, this still looks pretty small. So this could also be from a lens that's too tall. If there's too much sagittal depth and insufficient central bearing, then we can also get a very small treatment zone. So I'd probably recommend making this lens a little bit shallower, and let's bring up that lens for the right eye. This is the lens we're looking at, a 10.7 diameter. Really can't make it too much bigger because the cornea is only about 11 millimeters across. So pushing the OZ and IC out probably wouldn't be too practical because we're going to destabilize the lens with not much landing area out here. Plus moving the OZ and IC out by itself will not increase treatment zone size tremendously anyway. So another option we have is to add some asphericity to the lens. Now, the blending is turned off on this lens. If we're going to add asphericity, I recommend turning the blending back on. And what we'll need to note is our topo demand here of 5.88. Now in this eye, we are undercorrected by about half a diopter. So our final demand is going to be about 6.38. Now keep in mind, increasing demand is going to work against us in terms of treatment zone size because the more myopia we treat, the smaller we're going to shrink the zone. So on the one hand, while we might be getting closer to a plano over-refraction, that will actually make our glare problem worse. So you may have to go with your intuition on this and perhaps split the difference and aim for a quarter increase. I'll go ahead and build in the entire half diopter just for the sake of this video. So 638, what we're going to do is add in plus 20 shape factor, and you can see our demand shot up all the way to 728, so we can bring that down. And then oftentimes what happens, you'll see that the power is not going to be very consistent between meridians. So we're at a minus 86 right now. And then here we're at a minus 58. So quarter to half diopter difference. I usually like to even that out. Here we're even farther off. So the 58 seems to be in the middle. Let's target everything for that in 25% mode. I think you probably get the idea of what I'm doing. I'm going to pause the video while I go through the individual meridians. So I've gone through all the meridians and we're pretty close to a power of minus 0.6 in every meridian, but we've also increased our topo demand. So I'm going to go back to 100% mode and we'll reduce this a little bit more. So in this case, the second go around usually leaves everything pretty uniform. We have pretty stable power all the way around. Pretty close to our target is 638, and you can see the graph looks a little bit different. We've got a little bit more room inside the pupil before we get past the 20 micron line where the graph really starts to tilt up. So this should enlarge the zone a little bit. The other thing we want to do is decrease sagittal depth. So we'll lift the periphery of the lens a little bit. I like to lift the edge to make sure that we're not losing contact of the back edge of the reverse curve. We want good seal off to get good movement of tissue. So it's going to look like we have a lot of central bearing, and we kind of do now. We flatten the very center of the base curve, and we've also lifted the edge of the lens. So this is going to ride much closer to the apex of the cornea. But hopefully these changes will give us the increase in treatment zone that we need. Changes for the left eye will be very similar. We have to add a little bit more topo demand to the left eye because we're undercorrected by a little bit more than a diopter. The other thing I'd also look into is how much time has elapsed. If it's not yet been a week, I don't think that's enough time to fully mold out all the prescription, and you may find that building in all your residual refraction into a new lens right now leaves the patient a little bit overcorrected a week or two down the road. And it's been a couple of weeks already, and the patient's pretty stable here, then I would indeed go ahead and build in the entire post-wear refraction. So hopefully these will get your patient closer to handling the post-wear vision and glare at nighttime a little bit better. Best of luck, and thanks for watching.